All right, we'll call the Vallejo Planning Commission meeting at 7:04, and we're going to go to the next agenda item, go to the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, Douglas, can you take it out for us? Thank you, Commissioner Douglas. I appreciate it. All right, so we're going to go to the next agenda item, the roll call.
Commissioner Ballerina,
Here.
Beasley Stansberry,
Here.
Maderos,
Here.
Blind,
Present.
Chair Taylor,
Present.
Vice Chair Douglas,
Here.
and Commissioner White.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Okay, we're going to go to the next agenda item, is the consent calendar and approval of the agenda. And so we're going to go to line item 4A, approval of the agenda. Considering I was not at the last meeting, I believe that one of the fellow commissioners can review it and approve it.
So moved.
Second.
Through the chair, do you mean the approval of the agenda and the minutes from the last meeting? Okay.
Excuse me, I thought we was going to go at one line item at a time, but yes, approval for the agenda and for the meetings and the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I need 3 votes. Laura, remind me, if 3 of them abstain, that means that they
Right, great.
support, right?
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, okay. We have 4 ayes and 3 abstentions. The motion carries.
All right, perfect, thank you. So we're going to move to the next agenda item, report of the City Council Liaison. Councilmember Matulik.
Good evening, Chair Douglas, Chair Taylor, Vice Chair Douglas, and the rest of the commission, along with staff and the general public. No true report that I have, but as a point of clarification, so for all of those that abstained because you weren't here, you have the ability to vote on it if you happen to actually view the actual meeting after. If you weren't here, you can actually view the meeting, so that way you can actually vote on the approving or not approving the meeting minutes. So just as a point of clarification to help you understand, so for future, that hopefully that becomes helpful. And my true ask at this, well, just a friendly reminder, a work plan. Every commission and board has a work plan. So if you as a group have not reviewed that or looked at it to help look at potential education, professional education, or any professional development as a planning commissioner, that might be a point of conversation you guys might want to have amongst yourself. But my specific ask, and this is kind of coming from the City Council, very soon we are going to be pushing the Mare Island specific plan very quickly. So if you have not dove deep into that yet, I would highly recommend taking a look at that, looking at the glossary, looking at all the areas and from the zoning and planning standpoint, and from a development standpoint, kind of so you have a good idea of all the nooks and crannies of that area. And because we are going to be that's going to be a prime focus for us as a council from an economic development standpoint. The fact that we have 3 agencies or entities tied up in that with the city of Vallejo, Mare Island Company, and also Vallejo Flood and Wastewater. So we want to make sure that we all are able to look at this comprehensively to make sure we're all on the same page and we can move forward with the vision and the goal of economic development, making sure that we have the capacity and the forward-thinking development that we as a city envision. And so this group is the first line of, or the first eyes to kind of look at that and give us the feedback and the input that you would like. So that would be my ask for you as a commission to, if you have not yet, take a deeper dive into the Mare Island specific plan and understand that, because we will be asking any and every question to advance the city forward, especially from an economic development standpoint. So that would be it for my report. Any questions?
So yes, I have a question, and as I've been thinking about
Microphone?
this- Is my mic? There we go.
there you
Thank you. So since the previous meetings, you have mentioned alignment between city council, I mean, not city council, but the planning commission and the economic development, in working together in terms of, evaluating some of these type of projects or these ideas to try to move the city forward. My question would be, how would you recommend, or how do you perceive us putting together maybe, for example, an ad hoc committee that includes some members from the different committees to evaluate it and give advice or their expertise on how to move things forward and advise city council? What would that entail, or how would that particularly look for you?
And I would ask that you look to your staff for something like that, because that's something that Councilmember Matias and I, who's the liaison to the Economic Development Commission, to where we have broached that idea, and we're both in alignment of seeing how we are aligned from a planning commission and an economic development, to where that goes hand in hand, and how that works amongst the Planning Commission and Economic Development Commission. That would be something that you and probably your staff would want to, whether it's an ad hoc committee or however you see fit of putting that. Maybe it's a dual meeting that you guys put together. So something of that. But once again, I would defer to the staff to help guide you on something and what may be reasonable and feasible at this point. But we're just broaching that as a conceptual idea from the overhead from a council standpoint, and looking to you as the commission as the fact that you guys have the first bite of the apple from both those perspectives to help guide us as a city council, because we believe that we've done a pretty decent job with public safety, raising that up a little bit, and now we want to bring economic development along with that. And obviously I look at Planning Commission as the spearhead of doing that, along with the Economic Development Commission. So this is where we want a dual voice coming together, and not necessarily in alignment, but having conversations to where if that can expand some great ideas, that's what we're looking for.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Actually, I have a question for staff. What department does economic development sit under?
Economic development is its own department.
Okay.
So they're a standalone department. With regard to the question about the combined subcommittee idea, I think I'll just respond to that while I'm here. I think we can look into that option and maybe check through the rules and operating procedures to see if there's any guidance on subcommittee formation and how those work. And then we can come back to you with some recommendations on how we could facilitate that. A joint meeting is another great idea, though.
Is that the work plan that we would develop with them, or is that something we would do on our own, as a group on our own?
Yeah, the work plan, if you choose to create one, would be specific for Planning Commission.
Okay, gotcha. I just want a clarification. Thank you.
Sure. Through the chair, I do have one follow-up question around the Mare Island item, really for staff. When do you expect the first Planning Commission action, review, deliberation, et cetera, on the Mare Island specific plan? I see you have a comment that's going back to the applicant at the end of the month.
Yeah, we actually just sent back the formal comment letter to the applicant with all of the comments on the first draft of the specific plan that was submitted. So that went out, I think, a week or two ago, and we've got a meeting set up with the applicant to kind of review those comments and see if there's any questions, and then we expect that they will address all of the comments and resubmit the document. With regard to meetings, I think the first public meeting we're going to have is actually likely going to be a scoping meeting for the EIR process. We may opt to bring that to the Planning Commission. Sometimes that is a good venue to hold those meetings. So that could be it, but I don't know. If I don't have a schedule in front of me right now, so.
Okay. I think it would be helpful for those of us on the committee, and I'll speak for myself, if we can get some presentations along the way of, what you put into the comment letters, what you think is strong about the proposal, what you think you'd like to build on. I ask that so we can both be knowledgeable, but so we avoid the situation where we're brought in at the very end, and this is at the 1 yard line, and then we have a question, we have a comment, and then we become a major stumbling block to the schedule, for the timeline, to everything else that's going on, just because we haven't been brought along enough to be able to do what we need to do at the end.
Yeah, through the chair, I'll just add on that we definitely are planning for some robust public involvement and engagement, which definitely will include some presentations before the Planning Commission and the City Council. I will take that comment into consideration, though, and see if maybe we can fold in additional updates as appropriate.
Through the chair, one of the things I think about with this particular plan is that, we've got a lot of new people on board now. And I think it would be nice if we could have sort of a little bit of a background, historic look at the Mare Island process and where we are and how we've gotten to where we are. After all, I've been here for 4 years, and it just feels like, that we just talk a lot. And every once in a while we get a presentation. And, with a piece of land like that, I have a hard time understanding why we can't make progress at a quicker pace. I think the whole town feels that way, So anyway, one of the things that would be great if we could kind of keep it front of mind, and if we could get some overview regularly, so that we can maybe build interest in it. So, thank you. Not saying you're not doing your job. I'm just saying, there's a lot of little pieces that are out there that we don't even begin to understand. Yeah. So, thank you.
And through the chair, if I can make a recommendation, I know when I first came on the Planning Commission, and also when I first came on City Council, I actually got a tour of Mare Island from Lennar directly. And so where it helped me understand areas and kind of some of the things that were ongoing at the time, and things that were kind of some stumbling or barriers at the time. So if you have not had that opportunity to take a tour of Mare Island yourself, maybe that might be a staff ask, if someone from Mare Island Company may be able to do that, to help give you some guidance and some insight of because there's a lot of stuff over there, obviously beyond the naval base, but where there's actual commercial, and there's a lot of residential that's going on right there, that if you're not aware of certain areas and kind of some of the unique attributes to some of those areas, that might be something to just a quick drive around there and enjoy the scenery, at least while you're over there. So, but that would be something to potentially ask for maybe as a group or as an individual, that someone might be able to help do a guided tour of something like that.
All right, great. Thank you so much for the update and everyone's comment and questions. I think we have an idea how we can possibly move forward with putting together a committee and figuring out what the next steps are for Mare Island, so that we have a potential scope. Okay, so With that, we can move to the next agenda item, which is the community forum. And the community forum is for anyone who wishes to address the commission on any matter for which another opportunity to speak is not provided on the agenda. So it was, in which it is within the jurisdiction of the commission to resolve. So I guess we can open the community forum and give each speaker 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Went ahead and started a 2-minute timer, which is reflected on the top left corner of your screens, for interested parties of the public to sign up for this agenda item. Currently, we do not have any members of the public that have signed up for this item. They can do so either by raising their hand on Zoom or signing up at the back of the council chambers. Feel free to carry on with the agenda in the meantime, and if anybody signs up, I'll be sure to let you know.
Okay, great, thank you. So in the meantime, we can move to the next agenda item, which is the public hearing. This is for to adopt or to review the resolution for approving a tentative map to subdivide one parcel into 3 parcels at the southeast corner of Admiral Callahan Lane and Turner Parkway for the Fairview at Northgate Commercial Development. Which is after finding that the project exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA guidelines, section 15315, for a minor land division.
Good evening, Chair Taylor, members of the commission. My name is Robert Busick. I am a senior planner here at the City of Vallejo. And tonight, I will be presenting to you the Fairview at Northgate Commercial Development Tentative Map. This is project number TM24-0003. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to hold a public hearing, review the project, and tonight staff is asking the commission to consider the project and adopt a resolution approving the proposal. This item is subject to the Levine Act. Have any commissioners received contributions from any of the interested parties? Oh, okay.
No.
Moving on. All right. The subject parcel of tonight's tentative map is located at the southeast corner of Turner Parkway and Admiral Callahan Lane. It is a total of 3.29 acres in size. The site is elevated about 10 to 15 feet above the grade of Admiral Callahan Lane, but slopes to meet the roadway grade to the north along Turner Parkway. The site is also adjacent to Interstate 80, which is to the west across from Admiral Callahan Lane. Next slide. The project site is currently vacant, along with the undeveloped parcels to the south and east. The site is included in the Fairview at Northgate master plan. This particular parcel is part of the multi-tenant retail shopping center along Admiral Callahan Lane. There is open space and proposed residential uses to the east, as well as existing residential uses further east. However, no physical site changes are proposed through this tentative map application. The proposed tentative map, you can see here an exhibit from the tentative map document. The proposal will create 3 parcels, which are designed to accommodate the separate buildings, which were previously approved as part of the Fairview at Northgate master plan. Parcel A is a total of 5,884 square feet and is the future site of a drive-through restaurant. Parcel B is just north of Parcel A, 36,114 square feet, and is proposed to contain 1 multi-tenant shop building. And then Parcel C is the remainder of the parcel, 56,077 square feet, which will contain another multi-tenant shop building. The proposed division will help facilitate the efficient development, leasing, and long-term operation of the commercial buildings within Fairview at Northgate. having the buildings on separate parcels provides a clearer allocation of maintenance responsibilities, insurance, taxes, and utilities. The tentative map is subject to the tentative map findings, which are outlined in VMC section 15.08.050. These are also outlined in detail in the recommended resolution document, but I will touch on these in my presentation tonight. The first finding is that the tentative map is consistent with the goals and policies of the Vallejo General Plan and any applicable specific plans. Staff analysis has found that the proposal is consistent with the applicable retail and entertainment general plan land use designation, as well as at least 4 policies and actions within the 2040 general plan. The second finding is that the tentative map conforms with this title and the zoning ordinance. The tentative map does conform with both the subdivision ordinance, which is VMC Chapter 15, and the zoning ordinance, VMC Chapter 16, for the applicable regional commercial zoning district, as well as the vested Fairview at Northgate development standards, particularly for both the zoning ordinance and the Fairview at Northgate master plan standards. The standards that apply are lot size, lot width, maximum non-residential floor area, and minimum setbacks to the vested proposed structures. Finally, the third tentative map finding is that the tentative map conforms with the Subdivision Map Act. Staff analysis has found that the proposal conforms with the Subdivision Map Act as outlined in California Government Code, Section 66426. This section requires a tentative map and the final map for all subdivisions creating 5 or more parcels. The particular parcel containing this parcel was previously subdivided in the past, and this proposed subdivision brings the total number of parcels from the prior original parcel to 6. Therefore, the applicant has filed this tentative map application, and should the tentative map be approved, a final map application will be applied for later. Next slide, please. The CEQA determination for this parcel, staff believes it is exempt pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15315. This exemption has a number of items that minor land divisions have to, thresholds that they fall under to be considered an exempt. And so the exemption provides for the division of property in urbanized areas zoned for residential, commercial, or industrial use into 4 or fewer parcels when the division is in conformance with the general plan and zoning. No variances or exceptions are required. All services and access to the proposed parcels to local standards are available. The parcel was not involved in a division of a larger parcel within the previous 2 years, and the parcel does not have an average slope greater than 20%. We go into detail in the recommended resolution, as well as the staff report that were included in the agenda along with this item, for how this proposal meets the exemption. An additional requirement for tentative maps within Chapter 15 of the Vallejo Municipal Code is for notice to be published in the Vallejo Times-Herald, as well as mailed to property owners, active neighborhood groups within 500 feet of the site, the applicant and property owner, members of the Planning Commission via email, as well as all agencies expected to provide services to the site. This mailing and notification occurred on February 3rd, and as of right now, staff has not received any comment from the public regarding this project. Therefore, city staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution finding the project exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15315 and approving tentative map TM24-0003, subject to the conditions of approval provided as Exhibit A to the resolution. That concludes my presentation. I do have a representative of the property owner here, as well as the applicant attending via Zoom, and we are all available to answer questions. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you for the presentation. Appreciate it. And we definitely would like the applicant, if he would like to share any information. But what we would like to do is make sure the community forum is closed. Great. Thank you. And so what we do is open it up for public comments. And then we guess we can give each anyone to comment for 3 minutes to express any questions or concerns regarding the subdivision.
So, through the chair, would the owner like to give us a few words of knowledge, or should we just go for it? Thank you.
Good evening. Chair Taylor and members of the commission, thank you all for your time tonight. And yeah, Robert, great presentation. I am representative of Vallejo Fairview Developers, and yeah, I'm here to answer any questions that you guys have, and we're excited about the project.
Don't have any questions. I see my fellow commissioners.
So, through the chair, okay, three different parcels. In regard to long-term viability and taking a look down the road, it's 25 years later. And like most places, you know, it needs maybe some paint, some maintenance, things like that. So if you divide this into three pieces, how then do you have a consistent maintenance plan for all three? Is there something you plan on stipulating in the property when you sell it? I mean, how are you thinking about that?
So Lewis, or Vallejo Fairview Developers, as a developer, we do hold our properties long-term, subdividing the land. We have already recorded an REA and CCNRs for the retail portion of the site, because portions of it is already owned by Costco, the southern portion. Mm-hmm. So that's already in place and has been recorded and will live with the land. So those maintenance items are discussed in the REA and CCNRs. And if we were to sell it in the future, it's already in place, and yeah, maintenance. And we manage it and maintain it over the long term.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any fellow commissioners have any questions or comments?
I'm assuming that the three parcels is to make it easier on the developer, if I'm going down the right road here. A, for loan purposes, B, for selling purposes. You don't have to sell it as one asset, you have three. And then I'm assuming that it would also make it a smoother transition as you're developing the properties to go one by one, as opposed to one large lot and then, because it's phases, correct? Okay. Just
Yeah,
wanted to make sure.
and most commercial leases are triple net leases, so taxes, maintenance, insurance, that's all covered by the tenant. And so being able to parcelize it and have each tenant, well, in this case, for like Raising Cane's, for example, in the drive-through pad, they're a ground lease, so it's easier to manage it that way.
Thank you.
All right, through the chair. On both parcels, I know parcel A is going to be a drive-through. Parcels B and C, what are you planning for as far as how many other businesses are going to be in each of those buildings?
Building 2 is a single-tenant use building, and
Okay.
then building 1, which is the multi-tenant building along Admiral Callahan, is currently planned for three tenants. But those demising walls could move depending on
Okay.
the kind of leases that we end up securing.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
But I will add to that, we do have Wells Fargo in the space closest to the drive-through, and I believe they've already submitted their building permit, their TI permits for their space.
That's what I meant to ask. Will Wells Fargo have a drive-through as well?
They will not.
No,
It'll
okay.
be a walk-up ATM.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't have any further questions, or I'm sure the commission, their questions and everything else? Absolutely. Do we want to open up for public comments, or? Okay, yes, so I guess we can open up for public comments at this point, and give each 3 minutes.
Pardon me, Chair. Was the public hearing opened? Okay.
Yes.
No speakers have their hands up at this time.
Okay, great. So I guess we can give it a few minutes, and then we can deliberate among commissioners. All right. Yes.
Through the chair, prior to deliberation, if no one raises their hand to speak, we would need to close the public hearing and then.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, well, then we can close the public hearing, and we can move forward. I get the consensus here that it's pretty straightforward with the information provided. I guess we can move to a motion to vote. Move forward.
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution to approve the tentative map TM24-0003 to subdivide one parcel into 3 parcels at the southeast corner of Admiral Callahan and Turner Parkway for the Fairview at Northgate Commercial Development, APN 0069-480-040. Thank you.
All right, second.
We have 7 ayes and the motion carries.
Great. All right, again, thank you for the presentation.
Of course, thank you.
We're going to move to the next agenda item, which is the written communications.
Through the chair, we did not receive any written communications for the action item or for the members of the Planning Commission.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we can move to the next agenda item, which is reports of the presiding officers and members of the Planning Commission. We can start with agenda item 9A, which is Secretary's report.
Thank you, Chair. Not much to report for the commission tonight, but just want to let the Planning Commission know that we do have a tentative meeting scheduled for the first meeting in March to go over the general plan annual update, which includes a housing element update, where our long-range team will be doing a short presentation of how the city in whole has been implementing the City of Vallejo's General Plan 2040 and how we are with our RENA numbers. And the commission will be asked to make a recommendation to City Council to direct staff to submit the annual report to, I believe it's still HUD? Yeah, or HCD, I'm sorry. To HCD, yeah, they've changed their name. I believe they're a different entity now. So that's what we have coming up. Just want to remind those planning commissioners that did sign up for the League of California Cities Planning Commissioners Academy. It's starting on March 11th to the 13th. Thank you for those that have provided your information to get the flights booked. And other than that, that's all I have to report for tonight.
All right, great. Thank you for the report. And we can move to the next agenda item, 9B, City Attorney's Report.
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you. Okay, we can move to the next line item, 9C, report of the chairperson and members of the commission. I don't have any reports. Do my fellow commissioners have anything to report? All right. All right, as no report for C. All right, so we'll move to the next line item is 9D, report of the ad hoc subcommittees, and as of right now, we don't have ad hoc subcommittee, so we can move on to the next agenda item, which is outlined as other. So we're going to start with 10A, discuss the boards and commission and committees, assessment reports, and provide feedback to staff.
Thank you. We don't have a formal presentation for this item, but we added it on the agenda because we would like to facilitate a discussion amongst the group related to this report. Just a little bit of background on this. I think the initiative kind of came about back in 2024. The City Council commissioned an assessment to be prepared to look at all of the different boards, commissions, and committees. I think there are 19 in total in the City of Vallejo, which is quite a lot. 23, sorry, I thought it said 19. There's more. Anyways, the report was presented to City Council in close to the end of 2025, and one of the council's recommendations was to go back to each commission and make sure that all the actual commission members get a chance to comment on it and provide any feedback. So to that end, staff had put together basically a short questionnaire to try to solicit feedback and information from all the commissioners. That questionnaire is included as the first attachment under this item with the report. It's got 5 questions that I thought maybe we could walk through. We don't have to have, specific detailed responses for each item, but this could be like a general guide for the discussion. And then I guess the last thing to point out is just related to the actual recommendations that would impact this commission. Within the report, I hope you all have had a chance to read it, but page 11 includes recommendation number 3, which is to incorporate the design review board into the planning commission. This is, I think, the one that will impact this group the most. So if you want to kind of tailor your feedback and responses to that item, I think that would be helpful. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over. Chair, if you'd like to start the discussion.
Yes, thank you for the update and preparing us for what to discuss in this meeting here. So I'm going to open up with some of the questions. I'm not sure if everybody had a chance to look at it, and I had some time to actually kind of think about it and consider some of the points, and even some of the points that Councilmember Matulik had brought up. And the first question is, do we believe that we have the necessary training and tools to help be effective in our role? And this came up before about training for the commissioners. I know there is commission training, excuse me. And I have attended it before, and I found it to be very helpful. And I know that every member up here has the best intentions of trying to move things forward for the city and has the best ideas, but there are so many policies. There are so many different laws as well that to be familiar with and understand how they actually align. I think training in that particular area and getting an opportunity to work with other commissioners to understand what their best practice will be great way to prepare us commissioners, even new commissioners, even some of us who've been here for a little bit, what they kind of look for. For example, if we're planning on possibility merging the planning commission as well with the design committee, having a background in design or architect would be very helpful. I can speak to myself that I don't have a background in design or architect work, and I wouldn't necessarily know exactly what to look for. But training in that particular area would be very helpful to when we are able to deliberate, so I can understand exactly what points and things to look for that will be in alignment with our general plan and our design codes, our zoning codes here. So those are my thoughts around that for first question, but anybody else wanted to add? Any
Through you,
questions?
Chair. Design is deep, and even this is deep. And so thank God we have planners and people that can kind of guide us along and that kind of thing. After 40 years of being an architect, I can tell you that I'm still mystified at some of the things that I see come in front of me. And I have a background in this stuff. So what I'm saying is I kind of wonder why or how, what the thinking is for merging us with people that do design stuff. In fact, I don't see how that's a good thing, but that's my opinion, and I'm entitled to one. Because most people think design is like, oh wow, we're gonna paint it red and green. Oh hell no, it's way deeper than that. We're talking about people's safety, cohesive and some sort of cohesive plan to build our city by, and it's pretty deep. So I don't know who brought that one up, but I couldn't disagree more. I think we're doing very well at what we do with the help of our planners. So yeah, we might want to rethink that one a little bit. I don't know where that came from, but we all kind of, yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. It's okay.
Okay, yeah, well, case in point was the last meeting that we had. They were talking about things that we certainly do not have expert knowledge of on this board. My big concern would be any sort of, historical architectural buildings. I know we have the AHLC, and I would hope that anything that is past a certain age would go through them before it would ever come before us. So that's my big concern.
I'll just jump in on that really quickly. There are no proposed changes to the AHLC, so they will remain intact and they will remain as the acting body for historical properties.
I am, as someone who formerly sat on the design review board and has sat on quite a few commissions here, none of us are experts. We're experts in our field, but I don't think we're expected to be an expert in design. One of the issues that I saw being on the board was that you are sort of like a go-between liaison, and that the role and responsibilities of that commission really do not require a commission. It's, the proof is in maybe one meeting a year, and that is a complete waste of city funds to allocate money towards a commission that I remember not meeting for almost 2 years. So, while I love to see us have all this civic engagement, I think we are at a point where, every city is bankrupt. They're close, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Every city, y'all better quit messing with me tonight. A lot of cities are in debt, I'll say that. Y'all know I work for San Francisco, and we 450 million in debt, and it's going to grow to 1.2 billion in 2028. It's real in the field. Everybody is in debt, and we cannot afford to keep having these, these departments and, things that are not generating revenue. And to have staff sit here, and I don't know if they're exempt or hourly or what, but, you know, those dollars add up over time. And even if it's comp time, because I doubt y'all get overtime, you know, the comp time, that's money on the books still. You know, just because it's hours, it's still money on the books. And I think at this time, we have to think about how we're going to be able to cut corners and have these feasibility tests. And really, we have to do it. And I think with the design review board, you know, I know it seems a lot scarier than what it is. It seems like it's a huge, impactful, you know, board or commission, but it really was not, and I hate to say it that way. It just wasn't, because
But through the chair, it should be.
it should
It
be, but
should
right
be.
now
So
it
why have
isn't.
it if it's
We
not
don't have the
doing
money to continue it on, nor the developments. So what do? Just keep the board and commission there and have a meeting every 2 years? It's not feasible for us. We're already in debt, in a lot of debt. We're not in $100 worth of debt. We're in millions and millions of dollars a day, and we don't keep people past a couple years here because they get burnt out, and that's just the reality. So I think it's something we may not want to do it, but we have to do it at this time because, and I don't think anything's permanent. I think we can always circle back to it. Is that your understanding? That we can open it, you know, when there's time and money and resources?
Yeah, but it definitely would be at the council's direction.
Okay.
I'll add a little bit of extra context to this as well, since I just was working on our year-end report. During 2025, the Design Review Board held 3 meetings, I think 2 of which had to be canceled the night of because there was no quorum.
Yeah.
So that just kind of maybe helps to understand the volume of work that they're seeing.
If I may speak to that. So kind of going on, Commissioner or Vice Chair Douglas, in my previous organization, I would help develop maintenance facilities, right? So we'd have staff that would go in to make things as ergonomically efficient as possible. In California, there's just a plethora of policies, right? You have to ensure that you're CUPA compliant. You have to ensure that you're OSHA compliant. So we had these different teams within our organization that would come in, and we would literally go. So we all had our own part. We were all a chapter of a big book. So, you know, it's just a plethora of just work in time. And I think, again, the Design Review Board may not meet as often, one, because they may not have the ability to have a quorum, because they may not be fully staffed. But it also puts a lot more strain on the Planning Commission, because me looking back, thinking about, okay, I'm helping develop and create the designs for this maintenance facility. Now I'm done. Now I've got another team that has to ensure that it meets the requirements for the city as far as them getting the permitting and then them getting all the things needed on their end, right? And it was a lot. It was always a lot of work, and any setbacks was a lot of money, right? So, and then, you know, I think about like a lot of what we do on these planning boards, on the Planning Commission and on these boards, you know, it's all volunteer work, right? So, you know, you're asking to take on what the Design Review Board may do, and although they may not meet very often, the times they do meet, you know, may require a lot of hours or critical thinking and processes that go into it, where if we are now responsible for that, we may overlook or may not review some of the current items that we have in front of us because now we've got these additional duties, right? And that kind of goes with, you know, the case that my fellow commissioner was mentioning as far as employee and staff burnout, because again, putting more requirements on each individual does, in fact, you know, cause them to burn out or maybe go and seek other positions. And I think the same thing may occur with boards or commissions when they take a look and say, I didn't sign up to have this many hours of my time as part of a volunteer commission. So, you know, again, I know they don't meet as often, but I do think that they are critical and as part of the process in order to make sure everything's fully vetted as part of the process. So, my 2 cents.
A couple comments here. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind when I was reading this, I was a little bit shocked that there was not any commissioners interviewed. It seems a little incredulous that report about how the commissions are working would not include interviews with commissioners. I know it includes city council members who have been commissioners, and I appreciate that they bring insight to that, but it's a significant oversight in how this whole thing was sourced for its information. This questionnaire is something we can put some thought to, but it doesn't. I don't understand how it's going to get into this report. But what I do see in this report is two sides constantly. There's what the city council is saying from their perspective and what staff is saying from their perspective. Again, there's a big gap in the middle of what commissioners may actually say about their service on these various commissions. For the staff, one of the things that consistently comes out is a little bit of a lack of support, a lack of training, lack of systems that create kind of the institutional knowledge that would allow a new person to step into a role and understand what that role is. And I think we would want to prioritize some of those things that are going to be good in all solutions before we start, updating the city charter and other things to say that we're not going to have this commission anymore. We are going to have this commission, or we're going to combine these commissions. Some of them seem a little easier to me, but they're commissions I'm not familiar with. I can easily look at some of these commissions and say, why would we need a McCune Collection Commission? I don't know much about the McCune Collection, so I'm not going to really spend a lot of time on that. I think there's probably some low-hanging fruit here. As far as our commission, I think there's a lot that goes into this one, as far as background knowledge that you have to bring to the meeting, not from your experience, but from your reading of what's actually in these materials. And if you actually get into these materials and try to figure out what these plans look like, how they meet, what CEQA exemptions are being applied, whether they apply or not, that's a lot of work. And the same amount of stuff needs to go into the Design Review Commission. And I worry that in some of these, by the time you combine them, you've created what the problems you have on the Design Commission or other commissions where we just can't get a quorum. We can't keep people in seats. We can't move the business of the city forward because we can't have these essential bodies make the decisions they need to move forward. We're making that problem worse in some respects if we start to combine the work of these different committees and we expect them to do the kind of homework that needs to be done in order to make good judicial or semi-judicial, quasi-judicial as we are, decisions that actually have real bearing on people's lives, their businesses, and the public safety. So I would start with some of the things that feel like they are common to all, the training aspects, whether that's for staff, for commissioners, things like that, before we start messing with combining a whole bunch of commissions. I'll just say that for the commissions that that I know of. The other ones I can't speak to.
I think the one point that we're missing is the design review phase is a part of development, and we get into the weeds so much anyway. You may as well. I mean, we go out of bounds so much as a commission here, and I noticed that we're strictly here for land use, but every meeting, we got people who want to get into the weeds of things that really aren't our business and isn't our jurisdiction. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, the design review phase is really just the step before.
Through the chair. Well, it's advisory to you anyway, so you make those findings. They're just giving their advice to you, and you could overrule it if you wanted to. So all of the findings that they recommend to you, you have to make. So you have to review their findings anyway. So you're already making the findings, you're just maybe not having to get the presentation just strictly on the design, so you don't have to sit through. But that, I was also going to say, maybe I'll just say it, is when we don't have quorums on these, we have to push these projects for another meeting and wait for everyone to say they're going to make it to a meeting, and then that postpones the development, so then we have these applicants who are waiting, and they blame city staff, and it's frequently not city staff, it's, things like this, and, so it's another reason to, and sometimes people, I've sat here, and people have said they were going to come, like staff has called them, people have said, yes, we're coming, and then we've sat here and no one has showed up.
And through the chair, if I may, and we do see that the city staff is a lot of times unfairly blamed for a lot of things, especially when we don't take into consideration staffing levels, as low as they've been for years. Now we've become accustomed, them being, but it's still a reality for everybody that's on city staff. I just see some, and I saw this not just in this packet, but I saw previously the findings on this, and the one ironic thing I think I found is after I saw the initial stuff and what commissions and boards may be closed, the city was still advertising those commissions, and they were still adding individuals. I think maybe even yesterday they may have, or the next meeting, excuse me, they're going to continue adding individuals with boards that are more than likely going to end up being folded. Just like my fellow commissioner said, there are some commissions. I've been on more than one commission, and some aren't as critical as others. And that's not to diminish any other commissions, but just the volume of work involved in some of the other commissions is a lot less intense. So, to me, if I was on those commissions and I didn't see that previous report and I'm being sworn in, and maybe it's the first time I've been on a commission or first time I've had any type of city involvement, and then I read in my local social media that the thing I've just been signed up for is going to be closed in a month or two, it leaves a bitter taste. All these individuals that the city has worked hard to recruit are now going to be dismissed, and most likely because of that experience, they may not jump aboard onto another commission because they're like, I feel disrespected, right? And it's not fair to you guys because at the end of the day, you guys don't make that decision. But nonetheless, you guys end up getting the blame for it. So I just, again, I know the design review board doesn't meet as often. I know looking back, they've had some serious quorum issues. But, maybe if there was again, like one of my fellow commissioners mentioned, if there was a recruitment of commissioners from one board that maybe isn't as urgent, and they actively recruited those individuals and said, hey, this is what we're thinking. This board is more critical. Is this something you're interested in? And if we can, get as many people aboard, then we can consider which commissions we can cut. I think that would have been a more proactive approach than catching some commissioners off guard.
It's a good point of there are certain commissions that stack onto other ones. We make recommendations to the council, right? And so they sit on our work and they trust it. They can get into the weeds if they want, but largely they take a look at it and they say, well, if they passed it, we're probably going to look at it favorably, if not just pass it, right? And we do the same thing for design review. There could be a situation where we try to figure out how to unstack those when the stack is creating problems in scheduling, problems with quorums, and just say, hey, this one, we're just going to skip design review. It's going to go straight to planning commission. And so if there's a way that we could adjust that, so if we're having trouble with quorums for design review and you're just like, hey, we need this project to go through, we have to decide on it anyway. That's why the DRs come to us for another approval, that we can create a system where we say okay, this one has to leapfrog over because we're not going to get design review and we just need to move ahead. The city council could do that without, some things are written in that we have to have a decision on, but other ones they can take actions without our decision, but it comes to us beforehand anyway. So there could be a way that we could, kind of accordion, expand these when we need to. We've got a particularly difficult one, and we might want to say, hey, we're not ready to opine on this one. We would actually like to see design review look at this and give it their expert view. And other ones, we could say like, hey, we got it. This is more colors and size. We can do colors and size. But that kind of grading stuff, that ADA accessibility stuff, all that, like we need someone else to take a look at that. So.
I'll just offer a really quick response on that. We actually have had to do that out of necessity this past year. One project example was for the hotel, the La Quinta Hotel, that was supposed to have design review board. We tried to schedule a meeting, no quorum, and then we opted, rather than trying to continue, do another design review board, we just pushed it up to planning commission because we got to get it done. So I will add that, the process of having the multiple boards can be a little bit sometimes a little bit convoluted. It can take a lot more time for developers and can slow down the process. And sometimes we really do need to push them through. So that has been a little bit problematic.
Yeah, just to build on that, there could be a way that, we can defer things to a design review committee when we see them necessary, instead of by default, it always goes to design review and then it comes to us.
Yeah, they do meet so rarely, though, that it might be challenging to do it that way, because if they're meeting even less frequently and you're just kind of sending them things ad hoc, I'm just guessing that it might continue to be a challenge to get them to participate in a meaningful way.
Yeah, and perhaps I'm just brainstorming now, and I'll defer to other people. Maybe there's a way that they can cross-pollinate these two committees. So instead of like getting rid of one and putting all the work on the other, that we have it's like almost like an ad hoc subcommittee plus a couple design experts of planning commission that can say like, okay, let's defer that to the ad hoc design committee and bring on our, two expert panelists that help to staff that committee.
Yeah, we talked about that actually briefly with Chair Taylor before the meeting. We kind of touched on that idea. And that's something we could look into. We also could look into, just like I said, additional training for the Planning Commission to better prepare this body for acting on those types of applications. The other thing I want to mention is that it's not uncommon for planning commissions to act on design review applications. I know the cities I've worked in, this is actually the first city that has had a design review board. And in the report, actually, they provided a comparison of 6 different cities. 3 of them had design review boards, 3 of them did not. So it's kind of, a little bit of a mixed bag. It's definitely not uncommon for the Planning Commission to handle all of it. And then before we move on, I just also want to add that we don't have to come to any kind of agreement or consensus here. We're going to do our best to kind of summarize all of these comments. So if you guys just want to keep voicing opinions, we'll take it.
All right, great. Now that was a really good discussion. Thank you. I think we got a lot of information out of it. So I think we can move on to maybe another question, open it up, and see, and share any questions or ideas that we have. I think we touched on a few questions here. So one other question I have right here is, do you feel the topics our board oversees is easily understandable, focused, and reflects the work we do?
Repeat, please.
Yes. Do we feel that the topics our board or commission or committee or commission oversees is easily understandable, focused, and reflects the work that we do?
Which topics are we talking about?
This is
Yeah,
one-
projects, not topics.
Well, as of right now, we have topics for our work plan.
Oh, okay.
Moving forward, our topic as moving forward with an ad hoc. Does that reflect some of the work that we do? Do we understand moving forward? For an example, I asked Councilmember Matulak the scope of where to focus on if we were to overlap and were to align with the economic development. What will be the goals and objectives moving forward? So that's an example of, I would say, of how focused is that? So we can kind of think about how do we move forward with any questions, or even trying to move forward with an ad hoc committee. What would be the objectives? How is it a top-down approach, or is it an approach that we just randomly work together? We come up with some ideas that we think is efficient and we want to move forward, and then we present it to city council or other committees to review. And so I think, as an example, is that understandable, the scope, or is it focused? And does it reflect any of the work that we do?
I think never top down, we're equal. And I think working together, this is really a part of the initiative to be more collaborative as a city. And so that, to me, is in tandem with some of our goals, just how we operate as a city. And then economic development is extremely critical to our city, and we have a lack of it. And then we work on projects where we are essentially promoting and in a way, promoting a lot of development here, which is economic. It's dollars, it's tax dollars, it's spending, it's retail, it's food, it's entertainment. And so I think it would be important for us to partner and work together on specific topics, not in a free-for-all, definitely have a goal, have some initiatives, and have some viable solutions. I'm not one to sit down and chit-chat. We can do that on my own time. So if we're going to get people who complaining all day, I'm good, I'm a pass. But if we got folks that are dedicated and want to spend the time, and we have an agenda and we stick to it, and we don't go out the weeds, and we stick to what we say we're going to do, I'm all for it.
So through the chair, so are you on the Economic Development Committee or something? I mean, do you know anything about it?
I own a business here. No, I'm not.
Well, we all have businesses. That has nothing to do with what the economic development.
But you asked me, do I sit on the committee? And I said, no, I don't. I
Well, I didn't hear
contribute.
you say no, but anyway.
No, I don't.
The thing is I don't know what they do, and I don't know that I have the expertise I mean, I need a presentation on what do they do? What's their role? I kind of have some idea, but that's pretty abstract, So, I've been listening to our our Councilman Matulik, and I'm
Well, we
trying to
can
figure
meet
out
with them.
what exactly is it that we would do,
If I can,
so.
before I can, that way, if I see something wrong, you can direct me to.
Okay.
Chair,
Yes.
when you guys are not speaking, please turn off your microphones. There can only be 4 mics on at a time.
So, I guess my question, I wanted to ask before our member Matulik answers. So somebody posted something recently, and they're asking about the entertainment zone for the city of Sassoon, right? And so they've got this entertainment zone, and they're asking, how can that be? Can it be applied anywhere in Vallejo, like downtown, right? And there's different policies with an entertainment zone, right? Like, individuals like drinking, out on the sidewalks and things of that nature. But some of that would involve, like, the general plan, like the specific, some of the policy changes for it. So my question is, and that would be our side, right? Like, the economic development team would say, hey, some of these businesses have these ideas. And then from our end, we'd be like, okay, well, these are the changes to the general plan that would need to be done in order to accomplish that, right? So, but my thing is, doing all of that as an ad hoc, it may involve a lot more city resources as far as time. So if we do an ad hoc committee, or is it, like, do any of the other ad hoc committees have, like, city staff that assist them during any of those times, or? And I only asked that because in that one, I was like, wow, that could really open up a lot of questions for individuals that maybe, it's good to ask the questions, but I don't know if anybody's really can answer a lot of them, so.
Yes, I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Through the chair, I can just speak from my own experience. Being on the Code Enforcement Appeals Board, sorry, years ago now. We actually had a ad hoc committee that rewrote part of the municipal code. And we worked at the time with the neighborhood law attorneys. There were 2 of them that they worked with us. But our ad hoc committee consisted of 3 people on the commission. And we put together, we would work on our own after hours, different days. And we put together the verbiage that we wanted changed. We added other policy criteria, and we proposed it to the entire board. Actually, the attorneys did, for us. They had their presentation, and then we approved it. And our liaison at the time was Rosanna Verda Aliga, and she proposed it and championed it through the council at that time. So it also had to be approved by the entire council as well. So that's just been my experience.
Right. Thank you. So what I gather in this discussion here is, one, understanding capacity. Do we have the staff with the capacity to be able to help assist? And 2, understanding the scope, our responsibility, and combining the expertise from the different boards and commission to see how they actually align to move the goals forward or have a proposal to present to City Council or any other committee or board. And understanding exactly what we'll be responsible for moving forward. I think that will be definitely helpful, and I think that aligns along with training as well, with our work plan, being able to be prepared to do that specific work, being able to understand what our scope is, and being focused on and in line with the work that we do in terms of our knowledge, our experience, and meeting the goals of City Council. If they have any questions of that sort, for example, the Merritt Island specific plan, you have questions about how that project is moving, and City Council is focused there. I can see exactly how design, economic development, planning, all has maybe a vested interest to move things forward collectively by putting maybe an ad hoc committee together or being able to work forward. But the other question I would have, considering the Planning Commission, we are quasi-judicial, excuse me, if I butchered it, is would that create any conflict for us if we are voting on these type of projects, assignments, but then we're out there promoting or insisting in that process where we have firsthand knowledge? So I think that part does it reflect the work that we do? And are we overstepping, or could we help facilitate the right groups to become advisors for the Planning Commission?
And that would be my struggle, would be the ethical standing of each member up here, the ethics.
I lost you because you're still making these findings now.
Well, it depends how both Mare Island Company, Vallejo Flood and Wastewater District, what sorts of influences they would want to instill upon different members of this commission.
Oh, okay. You have to repeat your question then. I missed. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Well, I believe there was some talk earlier about, going over and having a tour and listening to what.
Oh, yeah, you should steer clear.
Thank you. That's what I was getting at.
Well,
I did.
well, wait,
Do we all know all know what our position entails?
No, I would steer
ethically?
clear of a developer-led tour of Mare Island by the Mare Island Company.
If I could jump in, I think that we could probably do something that was a collaborative effort, and it would probably be best to have it publicly noticed. I have experience doing something similar in another city where we did actually lead a tour, and it was a collaborative thing, and we opened it up to other folks to join. So I think if it was something that was open and transparent, I think that could probably.
Through the chair, if it was open to the public, and then that could open up a whole other can of worms.
Sure, I got a question here on the, on these kind of, whether it's focused and things. You know, since I've been here, I've said this a couple times, but I'll back up. In a previous role, I advised and kind of staffed a presidentially appointed commission or a board to oversee base redevelopment. And one of the things we always tried to do was we repeated agenda items over and over again. And so we had agenda items around long-range planning. And then we would give things that were to the commissioner of the board that was, that were non-decision-making items. And say, hey, but this is what's going on in long-range planning. These are the steps we're in right now. And so that when the next meeting came up and we had to have an item that they needed to make a decision on, they were already prepped. They kind of knew the range of things that were already in motion that they didn't need to decide on, but helped create a flow of information in a sense of momentum that we were moving in a direction. And we had different programmatic areas that we would say, we don't need a decision on this, but we want you to know that these are our programmatic successes. These are some of our obstacles. It just kept coming, meeting after meeting. And so when we had to have these agenda items that were in their judicial form and they had to make a vote on it, they understood how it fit into a bigger picture because they were brought along in a way that they could understand, oh, I see this whole stream of activity that you're telling us about in these repeated categories. And I can understand the progress that you're making in these key areas. And now I can see how the decision you're asking us to make fits or doesn't fit with that flow of activity. And then you can leverage, we were able to leverage that board in particular to then create some momentum for us, to talk about it in the community, to tell people in the community how great these things were transpiring, like what progress was being made so we could change the narrative from a place of stagnation to a place of movement. And I think that's the kind of stuff we need here to be able to have these things. And so, like, you know, just to make it a little critical, you know, seeing that Good City was contracted to review the Mare Island specific plan, gave you guys findings, you took those findings and you submitted them to the developer, and at no step in that process did we get an inkling of what was going on. Like that's an example of a very missed opportunity to help bring us along. And even if we didn't have to make a decision at that step, to tell us what's going on then. Like what are the major things that you're talking about? So that when it comes to the point where you do need our decision, we understand that whole stream that's been going by. And we can make the most informed decisions, and we're not sitting there at the end going, hey, I got a question about this. I want to go all the way back to the beginning. And then you're like, oh, these guys just hosed our schedule. And then we're not going to be able to get a quorum. And these are the things that then snowball in the wrong direction. And so when the question around, like, are these things focused? And I would say they're not, because they're just a series of grab bag projects. There's like, what do you think about this Cane's food? What do you think about this party in the post office? It's just a grab bag of projects. And like after 5 years on this committee, I don't think I could coherently tell my neighbors and fellow citizens like where the city's going in a planning direction, what major progress is being made. And I want to be an advocate. Like I want to be able to tell them the story that we're doing, because I know there's good work. I get like hints of it, but the overall narrative of it is it's just beyond reach.
if I could just respond, I think that is really good feedback, and I think you articulated it really well, so I understand exactly what you're getting to. I will share that, there's a lot of work happening in our department. Sometimes the missing link is that reporting out piece, which, I think your comment just underscores the importance of that. So, comment taken. Thank you.
All right, great. That was definitely a good discussion on that line item. And it sounds like what you're saying is some type of project management plan that has an update. Pretty much the initial phase all the way through completion, where it's going through almost like a project schedule, so to speak, that lists the milestones, what we should be expecting moving forward, and what could potentially delay the project or delay that particular milestone. So I guess staff can know when to get involved, or intervention with other boards and committees can be emphasized of the need and the urgency of being available for those particular projects. Some of that sort? Okay, that sounds good. All right, great. Well, I think I got that. Did anyone else have any other questions? I don't have any questions or any other comments for this in mind. But
So through the chair, I'd like to talk about work plan and what that means and when we can kind of start to kind of lay that out and kind of figure out where the hell we're going. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Because it is pretty much like Chair Blind was saying, it just kind of, whatever is up is what's up, but it just doesn't feel, well, I'm kind of project oriented, so, I kind of like things in chunks and, it's just a myriad of stuff seems like to me. Not a criticism, but I think we could be more effective if we had some kind of idea as to kind of where we're going and how we might get there. Is that okay? I don't mean to insult anybody. I think we could be more effective, right?
yes, I think that is a good point, and I did take note. But I do want to, bring up the idea is that, as our fellow commissioner has mentioned, we do have staffing issues, and we had mentioned about capacity. So I'm sure that they will be able to manage the schedule out what's effective, and help keep us up to date and think how things are moving forward, considering, our limitations.
But it's not meant to be a criticism. I just think that we could be a bit more effective if we all, just sat down just like we are now and talk about what we're doing and how we can do it best with our experts over there.
All right, well, that is a good point. Well, I think all of our comments have been noted and added, so if anyone doesn't have any other questions or any comments, we could move to the next agenda item, which is adjournment. All right,
Through the chair, there's one more item.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Okay. At the last regular Planning Commission meeting, Commissioner Maderos did bring up the item of having a discussion and consider agendizing the creation of a work plan ad hoc subcommittee. So I do want to open it up to Commissioner Maderos so she can start the conversation, and then depending on the outcome, we can vote and schedule it, have this item be formally scheduled for the next regular Planning Commission meeting. So.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, I know that we had to agendize. So this is what, the second step? Or first step? Sorry.
This is step one.
Step one. Okay. So we've heard this since the very first meeting that I've been a part of on this commission. We had two council members, one who is here, talk about creating a work plan. We still have not done that as a group. I know it's a little more challenging for the Planning Commission to do that because we're very project-oriented, with our agenda items. So I would just like to have just a short discussion, 5-minute, to find out if that's something that this commission wants to do.
Through the chair, just before the discussion gets started, I do want to make the commission aware that for the fiscal year 25-26, there is a budget of $8,240 that's allocated to the planning commission, but that budget does pay for the stipends that the members of the planning commission receive, as well as any of the training opportunities that are available. So for example, for those planning commissioners that are going to the upcoming League of California Cities, that funding from that $8,000 get pulled to pay for those type of trainings and, lodging and flights and stuff, so.
Thank you for sharing that. That definitely gives us an idea of what the capacity is in terms of fund allocation. I think it would be a good idea to come up with a work plan, especially focusing maybe primarily starting with what would be the scope. I mean, coming up with a scope or an objective for ad hoc committee. I think that we need to understand what the objectives are and where we want to move forward on, so we can focus the right team members and be as efficient as possible to work on that particular team and understand what our legal scope is as well as commissioners when trying to move forward and put together an ad hoc committee as well, so we can be mindful of that. So I think that will be very helpful in understanding what our scope and objectives will be.
So the limitations on an ad hoc committee, as you know, you have to be less than a quorum, and you have to have a set goal that has an end date. So you have to so that it can't be a standing committee is something that goes on and on and on and on forever. So you just have to have some goal in mind that has a finish date.
Okay. And yes, and other aspect of it is that as commissioners, that where we make decisions on land use, our involvement in subcommittees or ad hoc that's land use related, that may potentially come back before the planning commission, would that have any impact, or will we be creating a conflict there since we had personal involvement?
I don't understand your question. Aren't you deciding on the work plan subcommittee?
Well, for a work plan for the subcommittee, and one of planning commissioners on that ad hoc committee, is that possible as well? I mean, can a commissioner be on an ad hoc committee that we put together?
Yeah, it would only be your commission.
It would only be us.
It would only be us?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a subcommittee of your members of this body. So it would be your 7, so it could be 3 or 2.
Okay. All right, so that definitely helps. Thank you. So I think putting together an objective and goals will be in the direction we want to go, and I think would be very important to start off with.
Through the chair, if I'm interpreting your comments or questions correctly, it sounds like maybe you are looking for some information on what the scope of the work plan could include, because I think for this particular commission, you probably need to be careful about going too deep into certain issues where you're making recommendations to, the council or staff about certain land use policies or other things like that. I think is that what you're talking about, the conflict? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's definitely something that the group would need to be careful of if you decide to create the ad hoc committee. The work of the long range group and planning really should be directed by the city council. So it's just something to be cognizant of. There are things that the subcommittee could explore, though, in terms of requesting certain information presentations on certain topics at certain intervals, certain training that you want to look for. So there's definitely things that could be included, but it may not be as broad of a scope as some other advisory committees.
Okay, great, thank you. That was helpful. My other fellow commissioners have any questions or comments?
Through the chair, so for the direction for the work plan, could we defer to City Councilman Matulik as far as direction for the work plan for the Planning Commission? Or is this something we're going to develop ourselves without guidance?
You develop it yourselves.
We're going to develop it ourselves without,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can have a staff member to help guide you.
A staff member, okay, all right, that clears it up, thank you.
Okay, great. So as an idea, Commissioner Madaris, I'm assuming, one, we definitely have your vote in this process moving forward. Do we have any other commissioners who would like to be involved? I mean, at least we could start with 3. I will throw my hat in as well and join so that we at least have 2 of 3 that we may need. Would anyone else need some time to think about this, figure out what their schedule may look like, and we can come back and review this later? And yes, okay. All right, so I think we have what, at least 3? I'm assuming we have about 4 at least. Okay, at least 2. Max 3. Max 3. Okay, so we have 2. Unless there's anyone else want to get involved, but we can definitely think about that. But Madaris, I definitely will help assist in that process with you. Okay, so max is 3.
Through,
It's the loneliest number.
through the chair, I just wanted to help clarify the process because I'm still learning as well. I think what we're looking at tonight is for you to take a vote on whether or not you want to agendize this for formal consideration. So if it gets agendized, then the next step, which is step 2, would be to go ahead and select committee members and make the committee official.
Great, thank you. So I think it's a great idea, and I motion to agendize this. This.
I can do it.
Darius, you got this for me?
I'll do it. Okay, so I motion that the Planning Commission agendize the creation of a work plan ad hoc subcommittee.
I second.
I need one more vote. Okay, we have 7 ayes and the motion carries.
All right, so we come up to the we go to the last line item. Which is adjournment. I will adjourn this meeting at 8:37.